All right, so the last time I read, we were on a chapter from the point of view of Tyrell, and he is not doing so well with the whole his two best friends at camp kind of hate each other stuff. He found out something about needles being released. Who released needles? Brandon. And he did it to punish them for not paying him, and now he thinks they're still going to pay him. Worst blackmailer ever. It means that you are holding a secret over somebody's head and making them pay you so that you keep it secret.
So if someone knows, like, say I commit a murder and Chase do, Chase would be like, give me like $100 to help tell the police you killed this person. And
That would be blackmail. Yeah. All right, so Tyrell comes across Jet, and Jet is near the Welcome Center. Why is he near the Welcome Center?
His dad's here.
He's spying on Ivory, and he wants to watch what happens during the adults' one-on-one meditation times. And who happens to be the next person? Tyrell's dad. Jet pulls the grating off the wall and squeezes its side. I'll let you know what I find out. And before I have a chance to think about it, I'm on my hands and knees, cramming myself behind him into the duct. How can I pass up a chance to see why Ivory has such a hold over both my parents? What are you doing? Jet hisses over his shoulder. Coming with you, I whisper back. Okay, but we have to be dead quiet. If we get caught in here, it's not going to look very whole. The duct is so tight that I barely have enough space to reach around and pull the grating back into place on the wall. The farther we squirm, the darker it gets until the passage lightens again, and we come alongside another grill. Jet shakes his head, indicating that this is not Ivory's office. I crane my neck and peer out into the main meditation room, the one where the kids' sessions are held. We wriggle on, and pretty soon it's pitch black again. It's dusty too, and I rattle off 3 sneezes in a row. Cut it out, Jet rasps. I can't help it, I plead. I'm allergic to dust. You better help it. We're getting close. Over his shoulder, I can just make out a faint pitch of light. It has to be another grate. This one into Ivory's office. Jet gets there first and flashes me a thumbs up. This is the place. I wriggle my way forward and arrive at the grill just in time to see Ivory come into the office, followed by my father. I take a deep breath. Big mistake. Another speck of dust finds its way into my nose, and the sneeze is already forming in the back of my nasal passages. Jet snakes out a hand and squeezes my nostrils shut. The urge passes. Close enough. Close call. Ivory and Dad are seated on opposite sides of the desk. So far, they're just chatting. Dad is reporting weight loss totals. He's already down 6.5 pounds, and my mom has lost 5. Ivory says that's great, but reminds him that wellness is not about numbers. It's a healthy lifestyle for your mind and body that allows you to become truly whole. In the gloom, my eyes find Jet. If this is what we crawled through the guts of a building for, then it's not worth it. A classic Oasis conversation, the kind that must happen 500 times a day around here, as the adults break their arms, patting themselves on the back about how whole they are. It goes on for a long while, until I'm actually struggling to keep myself from yawning, which would be almost as bad as sneezing. That's when I catch the first whiff of incense mist from the vaporizer. And it hits me that Dad is saying a lot less, and his voice sounds kind of drowsy. Jet points, but I already see it. A blue light gleams off my father's forehead. I tilt my head for a better angle and spot the pen in Ivory's hand. It's illuminated, and Ivory draws it back and forth in front of Dad, exactly the way Jet described it. We listen to Ivory's rich, almost musical voice. At first, it's the same kind of stuff she tells us kids. Empty your mind of all thought. Concentrate only on your breath. When I breathe in, I breathe in. When I breathe out, I breathe out, Dad says, along with the meditation Pathfinder. You are immensely relaxed and filled with joy. Ivory goes on, happier than you have ever been in your entire life. That's new. We kids just get to empty our minds. We don't get to fill them with relaxation and joy. Maybe it's like voting. We're not old enough yet. Your joyfulness lifts you up as if you are lighter than air. You are happy. You are healthy. You are whole. From your great height, you look down at the source of all your happiness, the oasis. And all at once, Ivory's tone drops an octave. It's gone. The next thing we hear is a pitiful mewling sound. It's so foreign, so heartbreaking that it takes me a minute to recognize that it's coming from my own father. I can't see his face because his head is slumped, but his shoulders are shaking with emotion. He's crying, sobbing at the thought of losing the oasis. My first instinct is to bust through the grate to go to Dad to tell him all this isn't real. Jet seems to read my mind and reaches out an arm to bar my way. Do you want to save the oasis? Ivory demands. Yes, Dad blubbers. I'll do anything. I've lived all my 12 years with my father, and I've never seen him so devastated, so vulnerable, reduced to a whimpering like a baby. It's the most horrible experience ever. Ivory is speaking more quietly now, and for a few long moments, I can't make out what she's saying. The next time I hear Dad, though, he's totally normal except for a nasal tone from all the sobbing. It's like he has no memory of the giant breakdown he just suffered. Beside me, Jet exhales heavily, so it was hard for him too. Not just me, because it was my father. The session ends a few minutes later with Dad thanking Ivory for guiding him through my best meditation so far. The achievement is entirely yours, Ivory assures him. I provide merely the breath of wind that stirs your chimes. Scrunched next to Jet at the narrow space for the duct, I notice something odd. At that moment, I feel no itch anywhere on my body. None at all. Zero. All I can think of is the memory of my father weeping like a heartbroken child. It's a sound I'm never going to be able to unhear. Yeah. Why was he crying?
The voice is being taken away.
Right. So Ivory had convinced him that the oasis was the source of all his happiness, and then said the oasis is going to be taken away. So he was so vulnerable from being hypnotized. That's why we don't really want you to completely empty your mind, right? Like you don't want to completely empty your mind, because that's when the devil can kind of creep in, right? Huh?
You've been watching too much Star Wars, Sam.
Then, what do you think Ivory tells him he can do to save the oasis?
Give her more money. Because then they can make the oasis better, and then more people will come.
Give more money. If you give more money, the oasis will be safe. So, what is his father going to do? Give more money. Is it fair and moral and ethical to hypnotize somebody into giving you money?
I think she may have told him
Shh.
to like take him out because Jet knows that she hypnotizes people, that she can hypnotize people. So now she doesn't want Jet to go and tell the police because she'd be jailed for that. He could blackmail her. What if she's hypnotized Magnus?
Jet Baranoff. All this time, I thought it couldn't get any worse. Congratulations. It's worse. Somehow, the oasis without needles is extra awful. That's kind of like improving on perfection on opposite day. I miss the little guy. I'll never be able to explain why, not even to myself. Trust me, I'm not lying awake nights praying for a time machine so I can go back and stop. Trust me, I'm not lying awake nights praying for a time machine so I can go back and stop stupid Brandon from springing my lizard. I'm not plotting some twisted revenge on him or on Grace, who would have done it if Brandon hadn't. I just miss needles. That's all. Maybe I have a deep longing to be ignored by him one more time. Whatever, it isn't going to happen. Vlad always told me that woulda, shoulda, coulda is a sucker's game. Which doesn't mean I've stopped hoping I can get needles back. Grace caught him once. There's no reason he might not show up again. I make sure the paint tray is filled with fresh water and the shed door stays slightly open, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm also up to my soaks in the bath because that's where he turned up the first time. I've had to relax my rule about being alone. Adults love being boiled alive too much, so the hot spring is rarely deserted. I have a theory that as you age, the nerve endings under your skin loses their sensitivity, which makes a good scalding more fun. Anyway, I'm in the bath when I spot the chipmunk, or I should say what's left of the chipmunk. It's lying dead in the grass just beyond the rocks surrounding the hot spring. The carcass is pretty messed up and gross. It was obviously killed by another animal. I can't help thinking of Grace's story, needles attacking that mouse, and part of me wants to believe.
Did she try to? Oh, I forgot. What is it? Like a lizard? Yeah.
Some type of lizard.
He's on the cover. No, they don't eat meat. Yeah.
Some type of lizard.
That's